Good evening. I would like to call this meeting of the Planning Board of Thursday, August 14th, 2025. And that's the date I gotta remember because I just got notice that I have a new great-grandson.
Congratulations.
Yeah, okay, so in August, it's 7 p.m. in the NOAC room in the office building located at 10 Front Street, Exeter, New Hampshire, to consider the following. To approve some minutes, we'll get out of that in a minute. I'm going to move those to the end of the meeting. But first, I want to have the board introduce themselves. But before that, I want to point out we are pleased to have an interim town planner, Carol Ogilvie. Carol joins us from previously working at the Southwestern Planning Commission, so she's well experienced. And as chair of the board, I'm very pleased to see that she's here this evening, and we're going to move ahead. So, thank you. So I'm Langdon Plummer. I'm the chair of the board, and I'm going to Gwen.
Gwen English, regular member.
Nancy Belanger, select board representative.
Marty Kennedy.
Who will be acting tonight?
Dean Hubbard.
Who will be acting tonight?
Sam McLeod.
Who will be acting tonight? So we see new faces there and new faces here. We're a 3-and-3 team here. So it's a new experience for my good board members on the right, my 3 alternates, and some faces there. And Carol will understand what's going on here in a minute or two. We've been working on this, and don't get excited. We're not in charge of spending money, so. But you've got to convince us, because you know our report goes to the select board, which then goes to the budget committee. So I always am disappointed we don't get public here, because this is the beginning of preparation of the budget for 2026. Yeah, we go full calendar. And we worked on this, I've been around a little while, in many different forms. And I would say in the last 5-6 years, maybe a little more, the format is now really pretty good shape. And I think it does what it intends to do, is that we are responsible for getting together, and we happen to be supported by a terrific planning office who are prepared what we're going to have, and presenters from the town who are also with excellent. We're fortunate to have all of you, as far as I'm concerned, and my board. Well, the board. It's not my board, it's the town board. So, what I'd like to do is just turn the meeting right over, and we're going to follow a format. We have all of our material in front of us, and we thank the planning office for putting that together. So the floor, my dear, is yours.
My name is Melissa Roy. I'm the assistant town manager for the town of Exeter, so thank you for having me tonight. We have all of our department heads with us that have projects on the FY26 CIP. As you guys know, it's a 6-year plan, but they will be able to ask any questions of future out years if you do have any. We're going to go right in order. Russ Dean couldn't make it today, and Dave is, as you know, on leave, so I'm pinch hitting tonight, so please feel free to ask us any questions. But if it's okay with you, I'd like to start with the library on page 15.
While we're waiting for her to sit down, I just would like to let the public know that this is a series of 2 meetings. You folks are presenting, and then our next meeting, we will review it and decide on what we'll say in our nice letter to select board.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So this is Julia Lanter. This is our library director.
Hello, and thank you. This is my 2nd official meeting as library director, so I'm so
Well,
glad I'm
welcome.
here.
See,
Nice to plan with
good.
So, I'm assuming everyone in your packet has the copy of the Exeter Public Library Building and Maintenance Fund. In the 2020 renovation of Exeter Public Library, upgraded part but not all of the original 1987 library building. The choice not to upgrade all the building pipes, elevator, 13 original featured doors, means that some of the original 1987 features that remained untouched by the renovation are beginning to fail. So the trustees have asked that we have a building fund, and that building fund would be for $75,000. So that fund basically is because the library, unlike other town departments, is responsible for the maintenance of the building, so that if something breaks, our funds are affected. So that is why I'm coming before you saying, this is just, to me, a common sense idea. For my house, I have a emergency fund in case the elevator stop, or the, not the elevator, but the refrigerator stops running. You know, you've got that emergency fund so that you don't get into dire straits with your budgets. So if anyone has questions, I'm happy to answer them in terms of what parts are starting to break, to give you a kind of a picture, if that helps. Yeah.
What page you
Sure.
on?
Oh,
15.
page 15.
Okay.
And I can read it in the totality. I
No,
just
no, no,
read
no,
the
that's
first
fine. I
couple of
just
sentences,
don't-
but I think you get the gist. When you.
Yeah, it would be interesting just to hear what the funds are going to.
Yeah,
You know.
so, so far, knock on wood, we've been able to fix things that are small, but they're things that are leading up. Our pipes, about once every 2 months, we have to call A-list plumber to come and roto-root them out to the main line. I've talked to several plumbers. I've had that scoped twice by 2 different companies. No one knows quite what's going on, but the system backs up into the original adult bathrooms. I've been told by one that the best thing they can think to do is replace the pipes that go to the main line, which would be the part of the children's room that we didn't touch. So those pipes are original pipes, and that would be about $20,000 to do that. You'd have to break up the cement, move the books, do the replacement, and then obviously re-cement and move the books back. Other things are elevator is safe, but it did start to leak oil. It is 38 years old, so that's something that is on our watch list. There are 7 sets of original doors as well that are custom, and the area around the doors is failing, so that especially the exterior doors on the decks, wind and rain can come in, and they're just 38 years old, so there's just replacements needed there. Other things that are going are, they actually used part of our original HVAC units and jerry-rigged those to save funds. And 2 of them, every year, the pumps have to be replaced when, you know, that time in spring where suddenly it's 80
Yeah.
and then it goes down to 40.
Yeah.
It started every time the pumps have to go, so those are, I've been told, on their way out. And there are 4 of those units in the library.
I have a question.
Yes.
Have you priced out a new elevator as opposed to doing maintenance on something 38 years old?
I haven't yet because the leak just happened literally, I think it was last month. So we were told that it was fixable, but to me, I just kind of went in my back of my head, 38 years old, it's starting to leak. That's gonna be something down the line. And that's what this fund is. It's just so that we're prepared for when things inevitably do break. And I am mentioning also, it feels so soon, my building feels so new, but it's been 5 years since we built it. So things are coming out of its, out of that original, warranty, thank you, there's the word I'm looking for, the original warranties. So, but I can certainly talk to, the company is coming to fix that, so I can talk to them about what that would be to replace.
I would think it would be good to know, because a failed elevator is not, it's traumatic for whoever's inside it. The fire department rolls, it's just not.
My
It's
one
something
thing
to
is it's a
avoid.
platform one, which is nice, so it's not the one that you always visualize in the like movies that cuts the cord and falls. It's a platform one,
Right.
so that's, I've heard that it's a little less than a
Do you have a person on staff that takes care of building maintenance? You yourself?
The trustees and I,
Okay,
yeah. I'm very good at plumbing and I know my way around a urinal now.
good.
So typically, we would have the maintenance anything that would break or need to be fixed would come out of Julia's budget, or they would need to put it on the CIP. The trustees suggested this, I want to say about a year ago, and decided not to put it in last year. So this would be it would go on a warrant to create the fund itself,
Mhm.
and then go through the budget committee and be the select board, to determine how much money would go in to start it and that kind of stuff. Right now, Jeff, our maintenance superintendent through DPW, will give Julia a hand on, where to go or where to get quotes or
Okay.
that kind of thing, but it isn't part of our maintenance budget.
But she does have those resources available.
She has some assistance if she would like to, yeah.
And how does, you're showing 75,000 in fiscal year 26.
Mm-hmm.
How does it work like in future years? If you need to use it up in 26, do you have to come back and ask for more in future
Yeah.
years? How does that work?
No, so similar to our park improvement fund, which is a capital reserve fund, anything that gets used, right, it's a revolving account. So it's gonna stay with her until she uses it. If she does use it, then she does need to come back, put it on the CIP, or ask for it to be on a warrant, and the voters will, as a single line item, vote to replenish that in whatever dollar amount is approved through BRC and select board. And in this instance, the trustees of the trust fund, trustees of the library would be the agents to expend. So when, for example, Greg has a capital reserve fund and he wants to do a park project, he needs to go get approval to the select board. In this scenario, the agents to expend would be the library trustees. So that is allowable by our state law. So Julia would need to bring anything she would like to spend out of that and get approval through the trustees. It wouldn't just be a blank $75,000 check to just Julia, or to the director, excuse me.
But I will name drop, Peter Lennon with the trustees of the
Yes.
trust has been working with the
Mhm.
board and has been walking us through this process.
Anything else?
I had one question. When we see the whole budget, line by line, will you saw the maintenance line there? Or is that too early to ask this question?
Maintenance as in the.
Right, so
operating
right
budget?
now they have their own budget with a maintenance line. Is that still
In your
going to be
library.
there?
So for that is for the vendors, the known maintenance, like the elevator comes twice a year.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
that would remain for the known vendors.
Thank
So
you.
that's that,
Has to be inspected anyway.
yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to see if it was still there.
I have a question, Julie. You mentioned basically four things that you knew needed to be addressed. You put a number to the sewer pipes, but you didn't put a number to any of the other three. You have.
I do apologize. I found out about this meeting a little bit last minute, so I can prepare that information. Those were just the numbers I could get within
Okay.
the period that I found out about this meeting. So apologies about that.
And that was my fault, so, excuse me.
But I will say, I roundabout the doors were 8,000 apiece.
Yeah.
And I want to say the elevator, when I last looked, it was like 175, but that's been a couple of years when we were doing the renovation initially, so that might have changed. So I can get you those numbers.
That's helpful, thank you for
Yeah, good.
outlining that a little more, and that'll make things clear to everybody as to why you're doing this and where the need why the need arises. So thank you.
We thank you for overseeing our library.
Thank you for all, hopefully you have your library card. I want everyone in town to get them. September is National Library Card Month, so come on down.
I gotta come and get
I need a new one, and I'll do it in September. Now I don't feel guilty putting it off. I do need a new one.
Were there any other questions for Julia this evening? No? Well, thank you so much, very much appreciate it. We're going to move to page 10, which is our Pearpoint Park Design and Construction. And with us tonight, we have Steve Jones, who is the chair of the Pearpoint Park Committee. For those of you that don't know, the select board created the Pearpoint Park, or appointed the Pearpoint Park Committee to design and figure out what we want to do with what some people call the missing tooth downtown. So they have been working quite diligently. It's about a 9 to 12 person board, depending on the day and alternates and that kind of thing. So I'll let Steve chat tonight.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the board. Yes, you stole my thunder. I
sorry.
am the chair, my name is Steve Jones. of the Pearpoint Stakeholders Advisory Committee, which is being upstaged, which is typical. That's a mouthful. And the charge of the committee is a bit of a mouthful as well. And just to review and give you context, our charge was to review the surveys and the environmental assessment of the park, then to survey the town. What did they want? We surveyed the town. We got 750 plus responses. Just, basic question: what do you look for in a downtown park? A pocket park at that. And we came up with 3 designs. We've surveyed the town again. Got over 570 responses in 2 weeks. So there's a lot of interest in this missing tooth on Water Street. And it's a special piece of property. Yes, it is a challenge that the town received this donation. It's undoubtedly a challenge. But we received it as a donation. It was donated specifically as a park in perpetuity, and with a name. Its donors named it Pearpoint Park. So that's the history of it. The challenge, you probably know that in 1990, 2 buildings burned down on that site. And the site has remained unimproved other than the day after when they brought the shovel in and they cleared out the site and they took the burning timbers out to the landfill. And it's been unimproved since. So we met, we came up with 3 designs, we surveyed the town, as I said, and the month and a half ago, the select board approved the town's overwhelming favorite for a concept, a design concept. That is all it is right now. And that design concept is called the Shady Bosque concept. And this request is to help us on the next phase of our charge, which is to assist in the design later on the construction, not now. This is just about design. That's it. This is a phased approach we are taking, and that's what we recommend. Furthermore, I think cutting to the chase, this request, one hopes that the other part of our charge, which is to seek out all sources of funds, not just town, but grant, private donation, in-kind donation. One hopes that we can do a fair amount of fundraising between now and January, and offset the request that we're making tonight. The request is for $40,000. We think we can easily raise $5,000 of that. And the request is for design, engineering design. It's hard to know what's underneath that turf. 2 buildings burned down. An environmental assessment says you don't need to do any more work, you don't need to do any more assessment, but it's still a little bit of a challenge to know what's underneath there. That's part of it, and our design, the Shady Bosque, which the select board approved, that calls for certain grading and certain fill and riprap in places, and it would be good to have an engineer who could tell us what to put where, and that's the long and short of it. Do you have questions?
May I have one thing?
Yes.
So another benefit to doing this is we would then use these documents for grant funding. So for example, the LWCF, which is our land water conservation fund through the federal government, prefer to see engineering designs, stuff like that, in order to go for some of these larger grants that either are fully funded or matching. And so this is an opportunity for us to get all of those documents in place to go out and look for other funding to actually design, to construct the park.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Always good to have an extra here, yes. So, seed money, so that we can get grant money. And we'll be busy pursuing other avenues of support, donations.
Question? I think you mentioned, I think you said 40,000. It says
Yes.
35 on the sheet. Is it
So
you want it-
35 is the net, so take off the 5 that we will raise, and we may raise more.
Okay.
You may ask, how do we arrive at that $35,000 to $40,000? So your august and esteemed board member, Jen Martell, is a landscape architect. We have on our committee Jen Martell. We have 2 architects. We have a former landscape designer and a landscaper, as well as other folks. Jen Martell took 3 methods, and they all came up with about $35,000, and $5,000 is for an extra survey, since we haven't surveyed it since its donation.
Could you elaborate on the 3 methods and, or what's in, can you summarize all 3 methods have these things?
I can. I have to raise my glasses though.
It's in here. Huh?
Yes, it is.
Oh, sorry.
So
Okay.
there's a burn rate. So the 3 methods are burn rate, a percentage of the total fee, which is a guess. One purpose of the design documents is to generate cost estimates for construction. So the percentage is a guess at comparable sites, so plus or minus. And then she just looked at comparable projects in Massachusetts and northern Massachusetts, I believe, and New Hampshire. So she summed those, and they all came out with roughly $35,000.
Would this be like one contract to a landscape architect company or an engineering company?
Engineering company.
Engineering.
Yeah.
The landscape architect design would be further down the road?
Well, we have a landscape architect, that's Jen Martell, and she did a design concept. And that's what we surveyed people in the town with. We had, nice pictures of, and elevations of what the park generally could look like.
Are those still available online?
Yes,
Okay,
yeah.
so that's really what you need to look at, Dean. They're very nice, well done. That's went out in the survey. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Good.
Thank you and good luck.
Thank you, Melissa.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for
And thank
coming
you,
out.
board.
So Steve has a daughter flying in from LA, so we wish him, hope he has a nice time with his daughter tonight. We're gonna move to Park and Rec today. We have Greg Beeson, the Recreation Director, and he is going to speak with us about his Park Improvement Fund, which you can find on page 6.
And I'm going to interject one thing, Melissa, for LWCF, Land Water Conservation Fund, these funds, if it was elected, or it was voted in for design, can be used as a match towards the next, when you apply for grants. So it's not just being put
No, it's
aside.
great.
It's a great opportunity, and it shows buy-in through the state and the federal program, so they like that planning.
You're good at that, so, yeah. Share your expertise with that committee.
Yeah. Thank you, Planning Board. In front of you, you'll see our Park Improvement Fund. This fund was established several years ago and has actually made tremendous strides in improving our park system and really bringing us up to date. We've done several projects. and we'll be going to the board on Monday to ask permission to expend projects. So to let you know, we asked for the park improvement fund. We do primarily, a lot of our projects are in the late summer, early fall into winter, when we're not as busy. Spring and summer are very hectic in Park and Rec, so it's hard to actually do anything but park maintenance. But this is some of the bigger aspect things. We've tried to chip off the little projects, but in front of you for this year, the Park Improvement Fund, we're looking at Brickyard Park drainage and irrigation renovations. For those that have been in town long enough, Brickyard Park was originally built as two playing fields for baseball and softball. It was converted into a green space. Unfortunately, in our due diligence, some of the things have not been properly, for instance, the irrigation system is only 4.5, 5 inches down below the surface, which anyone knows for athletic fields, that is not appropriate because you want a deep tine air rate or core air rate 6 to 8 inches down, so you add sand for drainage. So we only discovered this several years ago when we did a deep tine aeration because the company hit several of our irrigation pipes. Not only is it not deep enough, it's made for a baseball field. It was never modified for a green space. So there's a lot of empty spots. If you go by there, you'll see some brown spots in the middle. So what we're suggesting in this renovation of it is to redo the whole irrigation system so it's actually properly measured. So we're not having, doing a top dressing. And if anyone's familiar with what just recently happened at the Linden Street Fields, they did this similar project where not only did they deep tine aerate and core aerate, they brought in a top dressing, and what we use is a masonry sand to level out the playing surface and add drainage. The grass actually grows through it, it becomes perfectly playable, and it actually becomes a very safe surface. One of the things we always look at when we look at our athletic fields is having a safe surface, because when we have many kids, we have spring soccer, we rent, we're looking to expand field hockey back into the fall. So those are all things that we use Brickyard Park for. It's very important to do it. And this will help us down the line because there are some spots where the old infield, it just puddles. So we're trying to do away with the puddling, making sure it's one level playing field so we can actually rotate our playing surfaces so not one area gets worn out. The second project we're planning on doing next year is the guardrail replacement at the skate park. Recently I went around with the state's Land and Water Conservation Fund inspector or lead of it. And one of the things he noticed, all LWCF funds, our properties need to be accessible, ADA accessible. So one of the things, we have a nice paved pathway into the skate park, but it is blocked by a chain. So that chain therefore prevents it to be accessible. So what we need to do anyways, the guardrail is in terrible shape and is getting ready to fall down. So we're gonna replace that, make a little pathway in so it's accessible, and then we're gonna work on just updating it a little bit. And just to give you a little fact is the skate park manufacturer of that skate park is no longer in business, so we're trying to resource parts. So that's another thing. Third project is a third phased project. If you remember the facility assessment that was done last year, identified the Dan Healy pool, or was it 2 years ago?
2 years ago.
2 years ago, as being one of the failing buildings, and they had suggested replacing it in 10 years. And we in the Parks and Rec and Town Manager's Office can't justify going to any resident and ask them to replace a seasonal building. That could be upwards to $1 million. So we've worked over the last 2 years, and we'll be working on it over the winter to restore it back to a more modern look. We did the outside 2 years ago with the generous ability of PEA. And then we replaced windows, we replaced some doors, everything that is on that punch list we've been doing. So this is gonna be the third phase. This winter, we're going to come to the select board, we're redoing the floor with a new epoxy floor, redoing the partitions to make more ADA accessibility better, and we're repainting it, we're bringing the color in from the outside in. So our last phase is new roof, because some of it is older than, I've been here for 22 years. That roof has never been replaced, and it is showing signs of failing because it leaks on heavy rainstorms. We've had the pipes inspected, like Julia. Our pipes are actually in pretty good shape now. What we're suggesting is we will line them so we'll extend the life of the pipes, because we don't want to tear up the floors. And to just add more ventilation, we're gonna be redoing the windows. If you drive by 4 Hampton Road, it has some foggy plexiglass. There's some more modern windows that are temperature controlled, where it'll open up for further ventilation. Fourth project would be putting electrical in Park Street Common and Gilman Park, not only for irrigation, future irrigation, but also to possibly expand our robot fleet. If anyone's been by Brickyard or Rec Park, we utilize robots for tremendous success. They do a lot of our mowing there, so that's a great addition. And then we've just recently, this past year, noticed we've rehabbed some of the benches at Park Street Common over the years, but they're the ones that have the stationary bases cemented into the ground. Those bases are now starting to rust out. So we would like to replace all of them with a recycled plastic bench that we've done all over town in our playgrounds that will last forever, very durable. And one of the things we would be doing is putting a cement pad underneath them. So again, easier maintenance. We can bolt them down. They'll be great to go forever. And all those people that have memorial benches, their plackets will be transferred to the new benches. So it's just keeping honor, but making our benches a little bit modernized. So I could go on. This is a snapshot of the different projects we have. I gave Melissa a 3-page list of projects that we are continuously to work on, and we'll continue to work on. And how beneficial this is one of the things we are going to the board for, is we're going to extend the ADA pathway from 4 Hampton Road up to 10 Hampton Road, so that will be complete. So when the 10 Hampton Road project is completed, both parcels will be connected with an ADA accessible path. So we're excited. Without this fund, we wouldn't be able to get these great projects finished and completed and improve our parks for our residents and our community members.
Questions, comments?
I have a few. Just to find out if it's in the like future or on your radar. So the skate park, which definitely needs some TLC, is there a water fountain in that park?
There is not a water fountain in that
Is that planned at some point, since we're putting water fountains in parks?
Those water fountains in those parks had a water line already established. We would need to have a water line put
Okay.
in. So that's several
Okay, so,
thousand more.
right? Nope, but that's what this fund
yeah.
is for.
Yep,
So if
absolutely.
we could put that in the radar at
Sure.
some point, because a lot of kids use that skate park, it would probably a good future idea to put a
Oh,
water
absolutely.
fountain in there. And then if you're digging up, especially for the electrical expansion for Park Street and especially Gilman Park, when you're in there for the electrical, I don't know if you have to go underground at all or dig up the ground. If you do, if you don't have any plans for electric car chargers, could we consider putting the piping in for future? Like we do, we have an ordinance for houses being built, right? So, or condos, whatever, but it's just something, I'm not asking you
So
to
we
add
can-
it.
So we can take a look. I don't know
Yeah.
that, I'm gonna be 100% honest, but I got to think about that a little bit.
Yeah,
But we are
no,
happy to write
absolutely.
that down
That's
and
why I'm
get
throwing it out
back
there
to
now.
you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
So
I
we
mean,
can
I don't
definitely
even know
talk
if you
about
have to dig underground for anything. I'm just saying if you
Yeah.
do,
Sure.
in the future, could we try to think?
it. We will
of
definitely take a look
possibilities.
at it.
I do know one of the challenges of Park Street is there's no established parking. It's side
No,
parking.
well,
Yeah.
it's side.
It's a side,
I
so.
don't know where you're digging.
Yeah.
I know nothing.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I'm
Gilman-
throwing thoughts out there for the future.
Gilman could possibly be a location. It is a little remote, but yeah, if we're putting electrical in, we can definitely
I'm
consider
trying to
it.
use it more.
Yep, absolutely.
We will
Just a
definitely
future
get back
thought.
to you.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Car charger on a tree side, huh?
Well, I want to thank the board again for their support over the years of the Park Improvement Fund, Planet Playground, and all of our other capital projects. So it's been a great, you've been a great supporter of Parks and Rec.
Goes hand in hand with our ADA. It's really important. So, thank you for
Thank you.
trying to do this as smartly and plan it out. So,
Tried it.
I know.
All set?
All set?
Thank you.
All right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. All right, so we're gonna next call up our DPW Director, Steve Cronin, and our Water Sewer Superintendent, Steve Dalton. And
This
I'd
is
love
always a fun part.
for you to turn to page 21, 3. We're gonna start with surface water treatment plant, please.
23.
And they do have a PowerPoint for you folks. Steve, yeah, I was just gonna say grab a chair.
Well, they did last year, so I don't want to be disappointed. 23, okay.
Okay, thank you very much. As Melissa said, I'm Steve Cronin, the Public Works Director. Tonight, we're going to present 6 different CIP items for fiscal year '26. First one we're going to begin with is the surface water treatment plant. So this project is the second in a series of projects that are designed to diversify our water supplies and upgrade our existing treatment infrastructure to meet emerging regulations, provide redundancy in the system, allow for seasonal rotation of our water supplies, and help us to guard against things like climate change in the future. So, first project we've undertaken is the new groundwater source on Drinkwater Road that we're working on right now, and we'll hopefully start construction on by the end of this year. The second project is the surface water treatment plant. Back in fiscal year '24, we received a drinking water SRF loan, and town meeting also authorized us to spend $500,000 to begin some preliminary design and planning efforts for the surface water treatment plant. That included confirming the design flows of the plant, looking at the yield of our surface water supplies, site alternatives investigation, piloting new treatment technologies, and coming up with some opinions of probable cost for final design, construction, and ultimately operation of the facility. So we're engaged in that process right now. We started back in April. Our plan is we expect to get our first technical memo any day now, and then we're going to be doing some fall pilot study testing in September, and then some additional testing in the spring when we have some changes in water quality. This project is to ask for $2 million to advance to the next stage of design. We have submitted a drinking water SRF pre-application for this year. We're on the project priority list, so we have a pretty good feeling that we're going to get that funding. But it would basically move on to determining the ultimate location for the new plant, survey work, designing the process, putting together bid documents, all the permitting that goes along with constructing a new plant and getting new water supplies and things to that effect. So the current plant was built at the turn of the century. It served us well, but it is well beyond its life cycle at this point. The treatment processes are outdated. They're very inefficient. We struggle to meet regulations for things like disinfection byproducts and manganese removal. So it's really time for us to look at a replacement of this facility. As part of the current planning and design process, an evaluation was done of the existing facilities. I think ultimately what we're going to find is that there isn't much that's salvageable there now, and we're looking at probably full replacement.
So you were looking at this happening at the current site?
Potentially. So we're evaluating different sites.
Okay.
Back in 2004, when they first discussed replacement of the surface water treatment plant, they looked at other locations on Portsmouth Ave as well as at the Sportsman's Club. So as part of this, we're trying to identify other properties. We haven't been successful in that yet, but that process is ongoing. Reconstructing at the existing site isn't desirable because it is within the 100-year floodplain. It's downstream of a major dam. We have seen this plant flood during the Mother's Day flood, so ideally we'd want to try to get it out of that location.
So my mind sees a lot of pipes from everywhere coming to this plant. So if you move it, then you've got a lot, in my mind, a lot of additional pipe work.
Potentially.
I don't know how it works. Really.
Yeah. you know, we do have the river supply that pumps to this location, and we also draw off the reservoir. You know, I think we would still plan on having those two sources meet in that location and potentially pumping it to wherever the new plant is.
Okay.
I don't think that it would be too far from where it is currently, correct?
Correct.
I don't think it will be moved to the other side of town or some, you know, something like that. It's gonna be in the general vicinity. We're just trying to lock down exactly where it would work the best.
Does the $2 million cost cover the decommissioning of the existing?
No, so this is just designed for
That's
the
just
new plant. So
design
we
up.
haven't come up with a final dollar figure for the replacement plant, but, and I don't want to put a figure out there, because I think we'd be disingenuous, but it is going to be substantial. So we don't have a magnitude just yet, but we expect to have that by this time next year. Any other questions?
Do you have other, I'm sort of jumping out a turn here, but do you have other projects that are going to involve the water treatment, water supply? Are there others? And I'm asking, well, I was going to wait till the end, but I didn't want to get so far off the topic of water that I'd forget to ask you this question. But a few years ago, I listened to a report that came out of Colorado, and it was a town that was reusing water and putting it back in to replenish the groundwater.
Mhm.
And it sounded like it had been a very successful operation. And I don't know, I just think all the water that we're treating and putting out into the river goes out to the ocean, and it just seems like it makes sense to try to put it back into our groundwater supply, or somehow reuse it so that it can serve a purpose other than going out to sea, which isn't a bad thing, but where water seems to be it's a hot commodity.
Yeah, it's something that we've discussed at the conceptual level. It's certainly more common in other parts of the country, but I think you're starting to find more discussions like that in New England. So it's something that we will be looking at. There are communities around here who do recharge their groundwater sources with surface water, so that's not something that's outside the realm of possibility. And it was even discussed at one point with the surface water supplies here. So I think long-term, that's something we'll be looking at. The seacoast as a whole has an issue with water supply. You know, there's obviously need for housing and growth, but I think a lot of it right now is limited by our limited water supplies. So, you know, we're involved in a study right now with New Hampshire DES and other nearby communities to talk about emergency interconnections and, you know, potential interconnection projects that may happen down the road. So for Exeter, you know, we had developed a roadmap for water supply improvements, the first being an additional groundwater source, next being the surface water treatment plant upgrades, and then the next phase will probably be looking at an additional groundwater source sometime down the road.
Okay, great, thank you.
Which might be recharging.
Potentially, yes.
Use some of that stormwater.
Yeah.
Nothing else.
Any other questions on the surface water treatment plant?
Anybody else?
All right, we're gonna go to page 21, which is your Great Bay total nitrogen permit.
So as a community that discharges to the Great Bay, we operate our wastewater treatment facility under the Great Bay Total Nitrogen Permit. So we have EPA issues us a general permit, and then on top of that, we have the Great Bay Total Nitrogen Permit, which places even greater restrictions on our facility. So that's a 5-year permit. It includes an adaptive management framework for reducing non-source point pollution in town. Non-source point pollution is basically any source of pollution that you can't tie back to a single identifiable source or location. So it could be things like, you know, roadway pollution from cars, sand, you know, leaves, trash, anything that kind of falls into the roadway and makes its way into the drainage system and ultimately into Great Bay and the receiving waters. So in order to meet that framework and those requirements, we try to do a number of additional things to reduce those sources of non-source point pollution. In the past, it's included things like looking at advanced septic system designs, fertilizer reduction programs, designing best management practices for stormwater treatment. What we're proposing with this, and we actually proposed it last year, was an enhanced street sweeping program. So essentially what it would do is try to quantify what we're picking up through sweeping, identify the sources of pollution, what we're removing, to be able to show within our permit that we are making strides to reducing nutrient loads in Great Bay. So as part of this, we'd be working with a consultant to come up with that sweeping program. It would tell us essentially what areas of town do we need to sweep on what cycle, at what times of the year, to try to maximize that reduction. On top of that, our sweeper is up there in age. It's due for replacement as well. So we were able to leverage a Clean Water SRF loan opportunity to help replace that sweeper in conjunction with the enhanced sweeping program. So that would fund the entire replacement of the sweeper and the development of the program together, and kind of get two birds with one stone, essentially. So.
Well, the sweeper's running year-round.
Mm-hmm.
How long does it last? I call it the Electrolux.
Ours has lasted quite a while. They really have a 6 to 8 year life cycle. It's a
Okay.
piece of equipment that really takes a beating. As you can imagine, it's basically being sandblasted from the inside out on a daily basis.
Yeah.
So it wears down the metal components on the sweeper. We've put quite a bit of money into it the past few years. We replaced the vacuum hood. It was actually involved in a motor vehicle accident last year, so it was down for a good portion of the year. Thankfully, insurance covered a lot of the repairs there, but it is costly to fix. It's not the most reliable piece of machinery for us at this point, but it's something that we really need to be using on a daily basis. So.
Investment into this sweeper is what we hope will allow us to continue to function under the current permit. If we have to, well, we're gonna every 5 years have a new permit, but if the regulations change for us, it's gonna be far more costly to upgrade our plants than to meet those output requirements than it would be to get a new sweeper online and try to continue to take that out of our stormwater process. So it is looking forward, trying to prevent the costly upgrades to our treatment plants.
Yep.
So I know sometimes people think of a street sweeper as just trying to, beautify the neighborhood or just trying to keep the town clean, which it does those things, which is great. But it's actually a preventative measure to having to do more improvements onto our treatment plants, so.
I typically explain to people that it's helping to manage the stormwater
Correct,
to get it cleaner as it goes down the pipes.
absolutely.
So, yeah, we're cleaning the
We're
house,
gonna
but
send
you gotta
you
do
out
it
to
constantly.
explain it to everybody.
Yeah,
You gotta think of it like a kid. How do I take care of this problem? I played with sand and water when I was a kid, and know more about what it's gonna do and washing, and, yeah,
exactly.
just
Yep.
stuff, diddling.
Great. Any other questions on that one? All right, we're gonna go to page 30, which is our High Street cross-country sewer rehab project.
30,
Please, Steve, if you wanna click it, it will
it
go.
would be here.
Okay, so back in 2020, Public Works did a study that identified some capacity issues in our sewer system around town. One of them that was identified as a high priority was the High Street cross-country sewer line. So this particular line extends all the way from High Street down Gilman Lane, cross-country through a portion of PEA's property out to the collection system on Drinkwater Road. It's an aging piece of the system. It's somewhat undersized for the volume that's being fed to it. We have areas where we've identified some infiltration, some root intrusion, so it's really due for kind of a comprehensive replacement and rehabilitation. So This project at 4.3 million roughly looks at replacing just over 2,600 feet of pipe and then rehabilitating an additional 2,500 feet of pipe, whether it's through relining or cast-in-place pipe. So it's a substantial project. It's something that's really desperately needed in that area to try to help us reduce the I&I into the system. We're currently in design. We expect to be completed with that design by the winter time this year and would essentially be ready with bid documents sometime around the first of the year. So assuming that this were to receive the funding needed, we'd be looking at starting construction on this next construction season. We did apply for a clean water SRF loan for this as well. We did make it to the project priority list. It has gone through the public hearing process, and we're waiting to hear whether or not we'll be getting that money.
I was going to ask you, I remember last year you had some kinds of monies in some purse somewhere for each project.
Yeah. We did,
Coming or
yeah.
applying for or just received, yeah.
We did submit last year. We scored pretty high. Unfortunately, we just weren't ready with the design at the time. So fortunately, we're still on the list this year.
Yep.
You know, it's a desirable project for us in both DES because it checks a lot of boxes. So we're hopeful.
I'm just curious about, you've got about 5,000 feet of pipe. Is that all the green that I'm seeing on the map?
I don't know if I am able to.
You press and hold there. you go.
So, no, basically, you're looking from this area here, which is basically the High Street Bridge, comes down Gilman Lane, and then it's this portion of pipe that runs out here to Drinkwater.
Is there one end of that's going to be replaced and the other end's going to be refurbished, or is that?
So right now, from Drinkwater Road, this cross-country section here will mostly be rehabilitation. There may be some spot repair and replacement of manholes along this way. This area here, primarily Gilman Lane out to High Street, will all be replacement. So that's actually going to be increasing that pipe up to a 15-inch diameter pipe. That's kind of a bottleneck in the system for us right now, so that's really what's going to create the additional capacity.
What diameter is it now?
Do you recall? I think it's
12 inch.
12 inch.
Yes, concrete.
There's also an existing piece of pipe that was installed in the High Street Bridge when they replaced it, that was put there for the additional capacity. We'll be tying that into the existing system to help with that project.
Oh, okay. No unforeseen granite boulders for another $1 million? No, okay,
The
good.
plan is to go as close to the existing location as possible, so we're hopeful that we're not
Yeah.
gonna run into any surprises there. But that's part of the design process, borings and things like that, to try to determine that ahead of time.
And try to keep it functioning while it's happening, huh?
Yeah.
Boy, that's worse than traffic, isn't it?
I think that'll probably be one of the biggest challenges of this project.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Further questions on
Anything
this
else?
one?
Sure, boy, it's only money.
So we're gonna go to page 33, which is our lead service line inventory project.
So back in 2024, there were some revisions to EPA's lead and copper rule. Those were primarily as a result of the issues that occurred in Flint, Michigan, if you're all aware of lead poisoning things that happened when they switched water supplies. As part of those revisions, they're requiring water systems to identify the material of all their service lines. So right now, we're working on trying to identify those. We've gone back through some of our records, existing drawings, but what we've found is we have about just over 2,100 unknown services. So we need to identify what all of those are. We've had some help from the public. We've done what we can with what we're able to see, but we're now at the point where we have to basically get underground and confirm what's there. So this project is going to be a multi-year approach to trying to do that. It's a big undertaking for us. We've broken it up basically into kind of a 10-year period, but we're looking at probably about $173,000 a year dedicated to chipping away at this. You know, we're hopeful that over time, as we get more information on certain neighborhoods, you know, projects, improvements, those types of things, we may be able to narrow that list down, but you know, we felt that this was probably the most manageable approach for us as a department. So we're looking to try to do 150 roughly customer side inspections in a year, and then 69 underground excavations, whether that's through potholing or basically digging trenches to try to get down to those materials and figure out exactly what they are. So we were notified of an opportunity to apply for a $60,000 grant just recently, so our plan is to do that this year to hopefully offset that $173,000. But that's the total figure we're estimating right now for the first year.
So is that kind of work gonna be done by the department rather than contractors?
There's gonna be probably a hybrid approach. We are gonna have to probably contract some of that out.
Okay.
To consultants, to contractors to assist us. Some of it we'll be doing internally, but I think a lot of the planning effort and, you know, some of the heavy lifting will be done with outside contractors.
And are there requirements into how quickly you need to do this? And where are you falling in with the
Yep.
requirements?
The end goal is to have everything identified by 2034.
Okay.
So we have 10 years to identify all of them, and then that's gonna trigger another set of rules on how to.
Fix all of them.
How to, exactly.
Okay.
And that's the next big step, is what you know, first, this is a fact-finding mission, and then it'll be how to deal with what we find.
I assume you've taken the total number of years and your total number of service lines and divided it evenly.
That's essentially how this figure got arrived at.
So this is from, let's say, just from the road to the house, is that right? Or is it the main service lines that the house or whatever building would attach to?
It is
Because-
the water main itself, the town-owned water main, we know what the.
You know what
we
those
have
are.
records of what the material those are made of.
Okay,
Is the actual attachment from where the home or business gets tied into that water main. From that to the curb stop, which is the shut-off in the town property, and then from that area into the house. So some of it, we have some information on the public, the town-owned side.
okay.
And then we just need to know what the resident side is, so that'll help eliminate quite a few, just by being able to either have residents or business owners self-report, take pictures and send them to us, there is a website, email address to send those, or we can physically go in and, take a look at them. We have a meter replacement program, as the meters have been getting replaced, our technicians have been taking pictures and trying to identify what the service lines are as they're going forward doing that.
I'm just curious, what percentage is that 2,000 service lines of the total number of service lines that you have? I mean, just roughly.
About 2/3.
Oh, okay.
I mean, we're very confident that not all 2,100 of those have some component of lead, depending on when the house was built, when it was tied into the system. We can be sure that it's copper or plastic or some other material, but we have to confirm that certainty and be able to provide that information.
So, even with the records that we have, that we know, let's just say we know that it's not lead, we have to go out and prove that our records are correct with 20% of them by visually inspecting them as part of the EPA
And this is presumably to eliminate all of the lead piping.
Correct.
That's what they're gonna know where they are. Hmm.
All right, any other questions on that one? We're gonna move to page 34, surface water treatment plant residual disposal.
So we discussed the surface water treatment plant a little bit earlier. This project is related to the existing plant, so there are a number of treatment processes within the existing plant that the water goes through. So raw water comes in, it goes through an oxidation process, a settling process, clarification, filtration, disinfection, and then ultimately out into the system. As it makes its way through the plant, we're removing a number of things from the water. We have things like particulates, oxidized iron and manganese. You have metals, organics, they all come out in the treatment process. They end up trapped in your clarifier, in your filter, and then as those start to bind up, the plant then goes through a backwash process. So we reverse flow through the filters and the clarifiers. We then remove all that stuff from the plant, and it goes to basically a lagoon where it then settles out. And those are basically the treatment plant residuals. So it's kind of the byproduct of the treatment process. Unfortunately, we can't just put it back on the ground. It then has to be dewatered, treated, and disposed of. So, as the years go on, these residuals build up in the lagoons, and then we have to remove them to allow the lagoon to continue to operate. So, knowing that the plant is still a few years from replacement, this is kind of a routine maintenance thing that we need to do to keep it operational. So this project would be basically bringing in a company to dewater those residuals on site, truck them away, and then dispose of them responsibly. And it could be that they get used as landfill cover, or there may be an opportunity to reuse them in things like compost or other roadside treatments. So it seems like a substantial amount of money, but these are residuals that have built up over several years. So this will certainly buy us the time that we need to keep the plant operational until it's replaced down the road.
So how often does that cycle happen? Every 5 years?
2021 was the last time it had been.
21, okay.
Can't remember that.
Do these filters have to be replaced?
Inside the plant?
Yes.
They do. The media is usually what gets replaced first. Typically, the filter components itself, the mechanical components, they have a life cycle that's usually 25 to 30 years. The media is replaced probably every 5 to 10 years, depending on how often it needs to be backwashed, the load that it's seeing, that type of stuff. We have a filter maintenance contract that's actually in our operating budget, so I think that's a 4-year contract that we're coming up on year 4 of that. But some of that includes minor media replacement, testing of the media to make sure that it's
It has nothing to do with this, though.
correct.
Any other questions?
Okay, we're gonna go to page 58, which is replacement of our number 52 dump truck. And I believe this is the last one for DPW.
It is, yep. So, in addition to the sweeper replacement that we talked about with the Great Bay Total Nitrogen, this is our only other vehicle replacement for fiscal '26, truck 52. This is a highway department vehicle. It's a frontline vehicle that we use on a daily basis for regular operations, and it's also used in our snow and ice operations in the winter. So it's lived a hard life. It's a 2008. Even though it only has roughly 52,000 miles, those are some hard miles around town in some extreme conditions. So typically expected to have a 15-year life. Obviously, we're past that now. Scored fairly high on our vehicle point system rating.
Yep.
Our plan is to replace this with a Ford F-550 chassis, which is comparable to what's there now, but would allow us to have a 9-foot plow and a sander and everything else and make this a piece of equipment that we can use year-round for multiple things.
Yep. How does it work? Do you do like a trade-in? What do you do with the?
So
Cart
this one, it would go through a trade-in process. We'd have it evaluated by the dealer and give us a value. And at that point, we would decide, all right, does it make sense for us to trade it in as part of the purchase, or are we gonna sell it separately and return those funds back to the general fund? So we'll look at both and see what makes the most sense for the town.
Does any of that kind of equipment ever come through state kind of contracts?
Yes, yep. So as part of the town's purchasing policy, we'll go out and look at a number of different sources. We'll get quotes, but there are state bid contracts for trucks and equipment that we'll
Yeah.
probably look at, yep.
So are there any other questions on any future projects the DPW had? Those are all of the projects for FY '26. If not, we'll
I had one question on the truck. How many trucks are in the fleet, similar to this? Do you have them staggered in years, so you get?
We do,
Yeah.
yep. So I think we included actually in the CIP, our Public Works vehicle schedule.
Yeah.
on page
Yeah.
60, you'll be able to see sort of the
Okay.
staggered
All right.
planning.
Yeah, I would say department-wide, we probably have about a dozen 3/4 to 1-ton vehicles, so this is a
Guaranteed to put you to
pretty
sleep.
common piece of equipment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good question. This is part of the process which CIP is supposed to do, to help balance those long-term costs. And so there's more data gathering, but for us that don't know what is going on, to your question, there is a system. And that's evolved over the years, so congratulations.
Any other questions about projects in outer years, anything like
Just need money.
that? Yeah, I think that's.
It's easy as
the key.
that.
That's the tricky
Right, grants. They're always going for grants.
Yep. Thank God
One
for
thing our town
grants.
does very good at, our department heads are always looking
We've
for
been very
grant
fortunate,
opportunities.
yes.
Yes.
All right,
Important.
if there's no more questions for DPW, we can let them go, if that's okay with you folks.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for everything you
Thank you for
do
your time.
in Public Works.
Thank you for
We
coming.
as citizens
Great job.
expect the faucets to work and the streets to be clean and the equipment running, so.
All right, so we're going to turn to page 8.
Oh, back to the beginning.
Is going to be our ADA Improvement Capital Reserve Fund. So similar to the Park Improvement Fund, in 2019, we created this ADA fund for the purpose of working around town in various buildings and locations to improve our ADA accessibility. We had a study done that had identified some improvements that needed to be made. But I will say, along the way, we've identified a few others. We have a beautiful historic town, which comes with beautiful historic buildings, which don't always match the current ADA policy. So we can't do it all at once, we'd go bankrupt. And this was our way to chip away at it each year. So we have continuously been putting in about $25,000. We are working with our building inspector and code enforcement, thank you so much, Steve.
Thank
Doug Eastman, there's a resident, Amanda Kelly, myself as the assistant town manager, and we're looking to pull in one of our park and rec assistant director. He doesn't know that yet, but he will soon.
You're listening, you don't know.
So we're talking about that and picking and choosing projects. So we, I think it was about a year ago, we were able to, in front of the library, we were able to use the ADA fund for some tip downs in some curbing so that the sidewalk all the way to the library was ADA accessible. We had installed a adult changing table in the downtown public restrooms for those folks. A lot of our businesses and restaurants are in historic spaces, and they don't have enough space in their bathrooms to put in an adult changing table. So we were able to put it in the public restroom, which was nice. If somebody was using one of the restaurants or the businesses, they could go in there. I'm trying to think of what else we've
Or an
done.
event.
What was that?
Right, or an event.
Yep,
right?
or an event,
Yeah.
yep. So I'll give you an example right now where you're gonna see, maybe the next time you come in this building, the glass vestibule door actually is gonna be removed. Right now, it's not connected to a push switch, and we're having trouble with anybody that is,
Yep.
needing assistance getting in that door. So the short-term fix, is to remove it, but this is one of those things that would help us set that door up to be right. So we've got things in town hall, there's really projects everywhere. So
Mhm.
that is continuing to chip away at this.
Our new Planet Playground.
Our new Planet Playground is very exciting. We were able to install a fully handicapped accessible playground, which is just really, really exciting for the kids that feel less than sometimes, to be able to go in this playground and go anywhere they want in it. And there are, not everything is handicapped accessible, but there are transition spaces where they're low enough to transition from a wheelchair, or they can roll onto a piece of equipment that the whole thing moves. We've received some really, really nice feedback from families that have driven pretty far distances to come to the playground because their children are so excited to go without them. So, very sorry, that's just a very exciting
It
project
is,
that we
that's
worked
why
on.
I wanted to throw that out
Yeah.
there. And the design for the Pearpoint Park
Yes, that
has
will
the
be.
ADA.
Anytime we do
accessibility in
something
mind.
new, we of course need to follow ADA.
Yeah.
But we don't have to rehab everything all at once to
Mhm.
meet that need. So we're trying to do it slowly and methodically and affordably.
Yes.
To the best of our ability. So that's what this is. Any other questions on this one?
Back to the adult
Change
diaper
table?
situation. Does that meet the requirement of XYZ restaurants so they can operate? Or are
So
they gonna be
it's-
put out of business because they don't?
Yeah, it's not a requirement in all of the businesses, but it is a best practice for a public organization
Yeah.
that
Oh,
has
yeah.
the space to do that, yeah. I don't know that every mom and pop spot, it was expensive because New Hampshire also now has a requirement that they need to be motorized, and they need to be able to handle a certain weight and be able to go low enough. So a lot of folks will think of a child maybe that's a teen that might need, they're not light, or a senior. If you have, I had a 90, how old was Graham? 93, and she could need a spot to sit to get some help too. So it's there for everybody. It's cleanable. It's a surface that's maintained and managed. So we're happy to have that for our residents. It's great. Yeah. Any questions about the ADA fund? All right, we're
Keep-
gonna move.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you. That's our team, not me, but we're gonna move to page 12, which is our pedestrian improvements. And you're gonna have to give me a little bit of grace. So this is a project that Dave submitted. It was a TAP grant, which is our Transportation Alternatives Program, or not ours, but the federal government. And this is looking to improve our area. We don't have a sidewalk on Railroad, over in our public parking lot, and I'm gonna say this wrong, excuse me, over in front of Anna's Chocolate. The crosswalk's in the wrong place, but doesn't really work effectively, right? It probably was in the right place when it was built, but right now, things have gotten bigger. We see a really successful business and Enna and Fat Hen now, and so we're seeing a lot of traffic in that area, pedestrian traffic, bike traffic. It's also near the train tracks. So Dave put in this transportation alternative grant to construct a new sidewalk. to balance out some of the height and some of the curb cutting over there.
Yeah.
We would only move forward with this project if we received that TAP grant. And what that does is that would pay for 80% of the project, which is about a little over $1 million. And the town would be on the hook for 20%, which would be about $266,000. Everybody keep your fingers and your toes crossed. We don't know the answer, but it is submitted and we're waiting to find out if we received that. But I would like to give credit to Dave and DPW and engineering and all of those folks who came up with this concept, because I do think it's an area that does need improvement. But it wouldn't go forward if we didn't get the grant, because it is quite expensive.
Do you know when you're gonna hear on the grant?
We actually were hoping we were already gonna know, so I am hoping that we're gonna know probably September, we're hoping. So as we get a little further in the budget process, we're hoping to know.
I think
Dave
we
actually
talked
called
about,
me 2 days ago saying, why haven't we heard yet?
oh, I'm thinking Dave may have talked about that a little bit with us, 'cause
Yeah.
that's part of master plan stuff.
Remember, he was
Yeah.
talking about the intersection,
Yeah, and we-
that
yeah.
whole
So
intersection.
that's not a new-
Reworking
yeah,
that
yeah.
road, road area.
Yep.
And we've talked about it at RPC too.
Yeah.
Definitely needed.
And I'm sure they would speak a little bit more eloquently than me.
No, you did a
You
great
did
job.
My best here.
You covered it.
Any other questions about this one? No? All right. So if there's no more questions, we'll go to page 11, which is going to be our space needs assessment request. So, I think it was Greg or Steve, I can't remember which one was talking about, that the Facilities Advisory Committee had done a, oh my gosh, I'm completely blanking. 'Cause-
Assessment?
Yes, an assessment with Bureau Veritas on the functionality of our buildings and our systems. So our water heaters, our roofing, our fence, they had gone through and done everything. And so we have that and we're working on those projects. This is something that they would like to do, where they would like to look at how we're using all of our buildings and all of our spaces. So for example, we have Parks and Recreation that currently lives in 32 Court Street, and hopefully by the end of September, we'll be moving up into 10 Hampton Road, which is very exciting. If you haven't gone up there, go check it out. It looks pretty awesome. It's almost done. But so we would have 32 Court Street. So what do we do with that? That is under the select board purview, but that's a
I'm
question.
gonna ask you that, yep.
Yep, we are busting in the seams in this building. We have a beautiful historic town hall. Do we need to do improvements over there, or are there things that could be improved there? So what they'd like to do is look at the entire town. We have a senior center in name only, that is over there at 30 Court Street. We have, as soon as the building's done, for the new police station and fire substation, we would have the fire department in a larger building, right? So what they'd like to do is survey all of the buildings, work with the staff, work with a consultant, and say, what do we need for space? Where is the best place for us to put things, not put things? What buildings should we avoid? That kind of thing. So they have requested that we put on a warrant article and put it in the CIP for $50,000 to work on this space needs assessment. So that's this one.
Well, this board would support that approach.
Yeah, I think if you go around to the offices, you're gonna see how some of the offices that we have now have been petitioned,
Very
made
creatively.
like from 1 to 2 now, and.
Maybe 3, yes.
Yeah, we are running out of space, so, and for privacy purposes, that was another issue with our HR department.
The police station.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll give you a perfect example. We very graciously had our DPW, not DPW, sorry, our planning director, Dave, had this beautiful office, and he
Cut it
allowed
in
us to
half.
cut it in half so that we could build an office for someone else. And then our economic development director, we did the same thing, and they both now have little, which is okay, it's perfect, but,
Yeah,
we're
the meeting
really
table.
getting
The meeting
creative
table
here.
in Darren's office is gone now. It's here, isn't
This,
it?
this used to be in
Yeah.
Darren's office, and
Yeah.
now it only fits a desk. So, they just want to review what we have and if we could utilize anything better.
And some of those rooms should be full rooms. I mean, there is beauty in those rooms, yeah.
we're really lucky. We have beautiful buildings.
Mhm.
You know, I understand that not every single one might be beautiful. I know there, you know, but we really do have some beautiful buildings, so.
Yes, and we don't want to try to chop up the wheelwright room. We need that for a meeting
No,
room. So,
no. Is there any questions about this request?
Nope.
All right. So that finishes all of the requests that would be funded in FY '26, or potentially funded in FY '26. Was there anything else in the CIP as a whole that anybody
No
had
fire
questions
department or police department this year.
so there's, I'm gonna be 100% honest. We asked all of the departments to really not put something forward unless it was incredibly necessary. And I'm not saying that people put things that aren't, but with the new police and fire substation coming, that was a very large project that the town funded. So we really went into the CIP process. I'll tell you, Greg had lots of good ideas, and a lot of them had lots of good ideas. And they were very gracious and understanding that we have the potential to have a challenging budget season this year. And with the reassessment last year, wanted to be very respectful to the residents. So it's not that the plans aren't in here. We tried to rework some of the years that we're requesting things, and tried to minimize what was being requested in '26.
Again, I see that as part of the strength of this process.
mhm.
If we didn't have it this, we wouldn't be able to know that.
Yeah, we
Thank
want to
you. Yep.
be able to say, you know, thank you, that, you know, we had the library and the police and fire substation, those are pretty significant costs. So, we're doing our best, we can't always do it, there are some water and sewer projects that make that a little tricky, but we are trying.
Anything else burning on your minds? Well, thank you for spending the evening with us.
Thank you so much for having me and all the work that you guys do. We really, really appreciate it. And thanks for keeping the wheels on the bus while Dave is out and working with Carol. So I hope you guys have a wonderful night.
Thank you, Melissa.
Oh, they're all wonderful.
That was great, thanks, Melissa.
Okay. I now would like to move back to the beginning. We have two sets of minutes. And I'm just not sure who was here and that we have the right people to do that.
Well, Aaron, John, on the July 10th,
On the 12th?
the
Ju-
July 10th.
Oh, July
First
10th.
one, oh, that's what I'm looking at the moment. So you, Mr. Chair, the Vice Chair, and then the clerk, John Gruder, and Gwen and I were there, and Marty and Sam. the alternate.
2, 3. Yeah, okay. That's 4 people.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's look at the minutes of July 10, please. Any comments?
No, I had a question, and I didn't notice it until I got in here tonight, or I would have tried to look at the meeting. On line 55,
55.
in the middle, it starts, there will be 6 stalls for commercial use. Is that supposed to be parking stalls? We're talking about 50 years, there will be 6 stalls for commercial use. So I think it should say parking stalls? Does anybody remember?
I
or-
think that probably has to do with the parking stalls for the
Commercial.
commercial
Yeah.
coffee shop or
I
whatever it's
just
going
thought
to be.
maybe we should say parking stall, add parking in there, instead of just saying stalls.
Stalls.
Yeah, which now becomes 7, but yes. So you don't want 7 here because what was presented was 6.
Yeah, well, we learned more stuff yesterday, but yes, that's for this.
Let's put parking in
We
there.
just put the word, where's the 6, add the word parking in
Yep.
between 6 and stalls, please.
Is that the only one?
That's my only one.
On line 40 on the first page, he referenced the town engineer UEI's letter. Town engineer and UEI are 2 different entities, so I don't know whether it's the town. I don't think we've ever gotten a letter from the town engineer, so I'm wondering if we should just strike that and have UEI's letter? Or just have Dan look at that
It
again?
it may be referring, it may be that it should say the town's engineer, UEI.
Okay.
It's not the town
Acting on-
engineer.
yeah.
No, it's not the
It's
town
the
engineer.
town's engineer, UEI.
Yeah, so town's engineer.
So it's
Yeah.
add an apostrophe after
Yep,
the
yeah,
town.
yeah, that works. That works. And then
All right,
there was one other. On line 99,
line 9. Nothing on line 9.
98's empty, 99,
What number you on?
Leanne, 99?
Oh, 99.
I'm sorry, I'm
I only got one 9 over here.
I don't know.
Moded?
Moded. I don't know.
I
Dan
think that
pointing-
should say noted.
Noted, yeah, it should be noted.
Noted, the representative,
Noted.
okay.
Yep.
I was gonna, and that was it. All I had.
Marty, you all set?
Yep.
How about a motion as amended?
Move to approve the minutes of July 10th as amended.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Oh, voice vote's okay. Those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, carries. Now we have the other exciting set.
Yes, and this is what I'm going to recuse from, Mr. Chair, because there was only one application that night, and I recused myself from that.
Ah, yes.
And I also recused myself, but I guess one thing I want to say here is, I was hoping Aaron would be here when we go over these notes, because
So I was,
all the conditions that were put together, he put the conditions together. And I think the conditions are very general, and they're not specific enough, and I think Aaron could say a little bit more about what he meant, but he's not here. So I don't know what you want to do.
Maybe table them?
this is a set we're gonna look at again.
Right.
Yeah.
And it needs to be looked at with the letter I signed. So
Yes.
the two are, yeah.
So would you consider a motion to table our June 12th, 2025 meeting minutes for another meeting?
I would, I'd just like to get it maybe,
I know. Hopefully with Aaron, we'll be back for the next meeting and could,
but even so, I think we need to, maybe you have the letter that I signed
yeah,
and compare the two
Yeah.
and he's here, yeah, okay. Yes, I'll
yeah,
accept.
it takes your concern and Marty's and, right, does anyone want to second me?
I'll second you.
Thank you.
And maybe we should just fire off an email to Aaron and make sure he gives it a look over.
Okay,
I didn't have any changes.
that's a motion to,
Yeah, I
Table?
motioned and Gwen seconded.
okay. Those in favor? Favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Ayes have it. Anything else exciting? How about our interim town planner? Have you have a report?
Yeah,
Okay.
What have you been doing?
oh, I've just been, sitting around.
Well, we appreciate having you here.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure being here.
Have you had time to look at, Dave had a system of, I'll say, of his comments about the plans that go along, and ending up with, if the board gets to approval, the motions.
Yes, in fact, I have a report that I'm working on for your next meeting.
Oh, good, yeah.
The 97 Portsmouth, that will be coming back to you
Yeah,
that night. So as you know, you did your site visit. Unfortunately, I had to miss that. But yes, I will have a staff report for you.
that's the way we worked. It's not telling you what to do, but that's very helpful for us. And typically, he'll read through that before I open the case, and then I'll ask, Dave, would you please make your comments? Which is basically reading that report.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's good to know.
Then I go to the developer. Yep.
Okay, well then, better watch what I say.
Okay. Well, welcome again,
Thank you. It's
and
a
we look
pleasure
forward to
be
those
here.
reports. Okay. Anybody like to make a motion to, unless there's other things here, I don't think we have any master plans going on. I will say this, that Barb has worked, I think, with, who's on master? Marty, you're there now. Yeah. And either of you? No. Okay.
Aaron and John.
Aaron, yeah,
And John.
and John, I think, yeah. To start the ball rolling a little bit, to see where we're at,
Yeah.
to have some more complete minutes of meetings, little housekeeping for the committee, and kind of move on along that way. So nothing is happening, but they're doing some housekeeping things, which is going to improve the process, and going from there.
I offered to Barbara that I would take more of a lead and pull some of this together and coordinate with RPC and so forth, and I'm just gonna talk with John and Aaron about that and say, does that make sense? And if it does, I'm willing to do that.
Yeah, yeah. Anything else for the good of the order? How about a motion?
Move to adjourn.
Okay,
And I'll.
we stand adjourned.
Thank you.